Hello class, and welcome to the continued lesson of 6.6 Vertex Form of Parabolas. On this video we're going to actually graph them, and we're going to see the benefit of having them in vertex form because it's very easy to spot the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and the direction of opening. So that's going to be the first three things in these directions. Give the vertex, axis of symmetry, and the direction of opening. So let's just first talk again about vertex form. Y equals A times the quantity X. Y equals A times the quantity X minus H quantity squared plus K. Now, the vertex is always at H and K. Now, what you can kind of take as a rule of thumb is whenever something is in parentheses, to find the desired point, you always take the opposite. So if we were to put this into an x minus form, it would be x minus a negative 2. That's the same thing as x plus 2. This x minus is part of the equation, so where is h at? It's at a negative 2. Or if you want to just consider it the opposite whenever it's in parentheses, I am okay with that. So where is the x coordinate at? It's at the opposite of x plus 2, which would be a negative 2. So your vertex is an xy ordered pair. The x coordinate is at h. The k coordinate, because it's not in parentheses, you just take what's written. It's the positive 1. So let's be very clear about this. To find the vertex, the x coordinate is always the opposite of what's in the parentheses. The y coordinate is the k value, which you just take, which is on the outside. So you don't change the sign on that one. The axis of symmetry is an x equals line, and it's x equals the x coordinate, which is a negative 2. Class, make sure you don't put the axis of symmetry is just negative 2. You have to put x equals a negative 2 because it is a vertical line. The direction of opening, A tells you the shape, and it also tells you the direction of opening. Because it's negative, it's a negative 1 right now, it opens down. So you can just put that down arrow, which means that A is a negative 1. So write that in your notes, please. The direction of opening is down because A equals a negative 1. So now, we didn't have to find the vertex by doing a negative B over 2A or whatever. We can find it instantly just by going opposite of here, what's written here. So our vertex is at left 2, up 1. It says my axis of symmetry is going to be x equals a negative 2, so I'm going to draw a vertical line at negative 2 for my axis of symmetry. And now I'm going to use these patterns for A. And remember on a previous video lesson how I said if A is negative, just change all of these ups to downs. So every single one of these ups is downs. So if my A value is a negative 1, what's my pattern for A? If I have a negative 1, I'm going to go down 1, right 1 from my vertex. And then from that point, I'm going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3, right 1. And then parabolas are always symmetrical, so it's going to be down 1, left 1, down 3, left 1. And then I connect my dots. And I have a parabola that looks like that. We weren't specified to tell the domain and the range, but if you did have to do that on a test, I'm assuming that that would be no problem for you. So that is what you have to do on this problem. Next problem, very similar. So let's go through it, and this time let's go through it a little bit quicker. Our vertex is the opposite of this and what this is for the x and y coordinate, which would be 3, positive 2. The axis of symmetry is x equals the x coordinate, so it would be x equals 3. Moving on to the direction of opening, my A value is a positive 2, so if it's positive, it's going to open up because my A value is a positive 2. So now we're going to graph this. We're going to use when my A value is 2. So we're going to say what our vertex is. Our vertex is 3, 2, right 3, up 2. I know that I'm going to have this axis of symmetry here, this vertical line. That's going to act as my mirror. From my vertex, I'm going to go up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. And then from that point, I'm going to go up 6, right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right 1. And there is the right side of my parabola. I'm going to do the same thing on the left side, so it's going to be up 2, left 1, up 6, left 1. And there's my parabola. As you can see, class, when your A value went from 1, which this one I guess was a negative 1, but, you know, the absolute value being 1, you have a parabola that looks like this. When it goes up a value, so 2, we have a skinnier parabola. This one is quite a bit skinnier than our last one. Also, never forget, if you wanted to check your work, all 5 of these points on here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, satisfy this equation. So if you're ever unsure of yourself and you wanted to check your work, all you'd have to do is put one or all of these 5 points, the x and y coordinates, into these x and y coordinates, and the left side should equal the right side. That's how you know if you do it right. Let's try number 3. Number 3, as you can see, doesn't have a k value. We actually say it does have a k value, it's just a k value of 0. So if you want to put plus 0 there, I am perfectly fine with that. It helps me. So now I know that my vertex is the opposite of this, which is a negative 1, and my y coordinate is that k, and k is 0 in this case. My axis of symmetry is x equals the x coordinate, so it's x equals a negative 1. Direction of opening, my a value is a positive number, it's a positive 3, so I know that my direction of opening is going to be up. So with that, I graph this at, where's my vertex again? At a negative 1, 0, I have a point. My axis of symmetry is the line x equals negative 1, I believe. Yep, x equals the x coordinate, x equals the negative 1. And then I know that my a value is a positive 3, so I'm going to do what's written under when my a value is 3. I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1, and then I'm going to go up 9, right 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there is the right side of my parabola. Parabolas are symmetrical, so let's do the same thing on the other side. Up 3, left 1, up 9, left 1. And there is the left side of my parabola. As you can see, this one is even skinnier than number 2. Why is it skinnier than number 2? Because my a value is increased another unit. The more you exercise, here's my parabola here, the more you exercise, the skinnier you become. This one's skinnier than the last one. All right. Now, stink bomb, we are no longer in vertex form. We are in standard form. So class, what we have to do now is we have to change this one from standard form into vertex form. And the way that you do that, pay very close attention. The way that you put each equation into vertex form from standard form is you must complete the square. Once you complete the square, the rest of the work is cake. So let's practice on completing the square. When we complete the square, we need to have the x squared and the x term on one side all by itself. So let's add 5 here. Add 5 here. So on the right side, we're going to get x squared plus 8x, and then we're going to have this blank here because we're going to complete the square by putting a number into that blank. On the left side, we have y plus 5, and then we have that blank there because what you add to the right side, you also have to add to the left side, or what you add to the left side, you also have to add to the right side. So what goes in that blank? Remember, the blank is b divided by 2 quantity squared. So it is 8 divided by 2, that quantity squared. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So 16 goes in the blank. If I add 16 to the right side, to make it balanced, I have to add 16 to the left side. So let's simplify some of this stuff. On the left side, we now have y plus 21, because 5 and 16 makes 21. On the right side, don't write this down just yet. If I were to factor this, I would get x plus 4 times x plus 4. Or another way of writing that is, I've successfully completed the square. to make x plus 4 quantity squared. X plus 4 times x plus 4 is x plus 4 quantity squared. Remember the little cheat that I taught you? Whatever sign this is, it's going to be the same sign for the one in between the binomial squared. And then you're also always going to have this number as being b divided by 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. All right, now in vertex form, which is y equals a times the quantity x minus h quantity squared plus k, y is all by itself, isn't it? So I need to get y by itself to put this into vertex form. So 21, I got to get rid of you. You're going to go leftward. So I have y all by itself now. That equals the quantity x plus 4. Y equals the quantity x plus 4 quantity squared minus 21. Now I have it in vertex form. My a value is this positive 1 in front of the binomial squared. My h is negative 4, my k is negative 21, and now I can do a lot of different things. These ones I don't have to graph. Just tell me the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and the direction of opening. So my vertex, opposite of this, negative 4, negative 21. My axis of symmetry is going to be x equals whatever the x coordinate is, which is a negative 4. X equals a negative 4. My direction of opening is going to be up because my a value is a positive 1. So if I were to graph this one, all I would have to do is go left 4. Did I make a mistake here? I think we're good, right? Did we make any mistakes here? I must have written something wrong in my notes because as I checked my work in my notes, I got something else. But if I did something wrong, please let me know in class. So if I were to graph this one, I'd go left 4, down 21, and then I would go right 1, up 1, right 1, up 3, left 1, up 1, left 1, up 3, draw my parabola, so on and so forth. So that's the benefit of having this vertex form. It is very, very easy to pick out this information. It's quick. Let's try another one. This right here is not in vertex form. It is in standard form. So let's put it into vertex form by completing the square. X squared and the x have to be on the left side all by itself. So 1, let's get you on the left. Y plus 1. That equals a negative 3x squared plus 6x. In order to complete the square, I have to have a positive 1 as my coefficient in front of x squared. So I have to factor out that negative 3. So I'm going to have a negative 3 times the quantity x squared. If I take out a negative 3 from here, 6 divided by a negative 3 is a negative 2x. Now I'm going to have this blank because I'm ready to complete the square. That equals y plus 1 plus a blank. So what goes in that blank? It's b divided by 2 squared. A negative 2 divided by 2 is a negative 1. A negative 1 squared is a positive 1. So I added positive 1 on the right side. However, I didn't add positive 1, did I? I added 1 multiplied by a negative 3. So I actually added a negative 3 to the right. If I add a negative 3 to the right, I also have to add a negative 3 to the left. Make sure you do not forget to distribute that coefficient. So now what do you have on the left side? Combining 1 plus a negative 3, y minus 2. That equals a negative 3 times a binomial squared. The binomial squared is x minus 1, that quantity squared. Remember, I got the negative sign because it's the exact same negative sign as the one in front of your b value. And then I got this 1 right here because it's always b divided by 2. Lastly, I got to get it into vertex form, so I have to have y by itself on the left side. So I have to add the 2 to get it off to the right. So my vertex form, y equals a negative 3 times the quantity x minus 1 quantity squared plus 2. Here's your vertex form. From this, you could basically tell me the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and the direction of opening as fast as I can say it. The vertex, +1, +2. The axis of symmetry, x equals h or x equals 1. The direction of opening, it opens down. Why is that? Because your a value is negative. It is a -3. All right, let's try this one more time. This time you guys try it on your own, pause the video, and then check your work with mine after you're done. We have to complete the square. So 2, we're getting you off to the left. So y minus 2, that equals a -2x squared minus 4x. Now I'm not ready to complete the square yet until I have a +1 in front of my x squared term. So I got to factor out a -2. When I do that, I'm now left with x squared. A -4 divided by a -2 is now a +2x plus a blank on the right side. I'm now ready to complete the square, so I'm going to have y minus 2 plus a blank on the left side. Remember, class, if you're ever unsure of yourself after this step, just distribute this back again and see if you get right back to this. A -2 times x squared is a -2x squared. A -2 times a +2x is a -4x. So you know you've done that part right if you just distribute it back. Now we're going to find out what goes in the blank. The blank is b divided by 2 squared. So it's 2 divided by 2, which is 1, and 1 squared is 1. You added 1 to the right side. However, you added -2, because you have to distribute that -2 times 1. So a -2 goes off on the left. Simplifying, y minus 4 now equals a -2 times the quantity x plus 1 quantity squared. And finally, you have to add the 4 to get into vertex form, so y equals a times the quantity x minus h quantity squared plus k, which k is 4. Ah, rats, I hate it when it does that. -2 times the quantity x plus 1 quantity squared plus 4. So my vertex, hopefully you got the same thing. You should have got a -1, +4. Your axis of symmetry, x equals a -1. Your direction of opening, it opens down. The reason for that, a is negative. A is a -2. Alrighty, that is the process of graphing as well as converting these into vertex form from standard form. Let me know if you have any questions on doing that, because it's a very, very, very important skill.